So Shamin, you've made so much good progress doing homework experiments. I'm really quite impressed.
Thanks.
You were telling me though that the idea of going back to the meetup and talking to people longer and sharing contact information still feels really scary because even though it's gone well so far, that doesn't guarantee it'll go well next time. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some good experiences and I felt really good about them, but I still can't help but worry that the next time that I'm in that situation, it's gonna go really badly.
And although it has gone really well, and my prediction is it'll probably go really well, I mean, there's no guarantees in life. We don't know for sure how it will go the next time or the time after that or further in the future. That's
That's
one,
what I'm scared of.
yeah, and that's a situation that, we all live in as people because we can't know the future, right? So one of the strategies in lessening our social anxiety is learning to build self-confidence, believing in ourselves more, and specifically believing in our abilities to handle our fears coming true if they were to come true.
Okay.
So we're not just learning that it's unlikely that our fears will come true, that we come across better than we think we do, and that people usually respond to us well. That's part of what you're already learning. But that isn't quite enough. We also need to learn that if one of my fears were to come true, I know I can handle it with my head held high. And I call this approach head held high assertion. Head held high meaning self-confident, dignified, as opposed to defensive or aggressive. So let's talk through, you've been mentioning your key fears for me. Could you remind me again what they are?
Well, I'm afraid that I'm gonna look nervous, that they're gonna be able to tell that I'm nervous and that I'm gonna look weird. Um, and then I'm also afraid that I'll say something stupid or I'll sound stupid by tripping over my words. Um, and then I also worry that like people are gonna think that I'm boring and they're not gonna want to talk to me.
Okay, well, let's take those three fears. Those are, at this point, your three major fears when interacting with people socially, anyway. Let's take those three fears individually. If you were more self-confident, what would you say to somebody if they noticed that you were nervous and thought you were kind of weird because of that and said something
Well,
to that effect?
what would I say to them? I,
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't say anything to them.
what would you do?
I'd probably just walk away or try to excuse myself from the conversation.
And how would you feel?
Bad,
Okay.
shameful.
Now let's imagine though that you were more self-confident. What would you want to say to somebody that told you that, hey, you look kind of nervous. Is there something wrong with you? It's kind of weird.
Um, I mean, I would probably tell them that, well, maybe I am a little bit nervous, but um, people sometimes are nervous when they meet somebody new. Um, and if they give me a chance, maybe I'll be less nervous and feel more comfortable around them and we can get to know each other.
That's nice. How did you feel about that statement?
I don't know. I can't imagine actually saying that to somebody, but um, I believe it's true.
Okay. And you can't imagine actually saying it. Why?
I don't know. It just seems like confrontational, maybe, or um, more confident than I actually feel at times.
Okay. Well, we're going to just role play this, and over the course of time, we'll see if you feel any differently about actually saying it, whether or not it actually builds a sense of self-confidence in you. It didn't
Mhm.
come across as confrontational to me because you were saying, let's continue talking. Maybe, I'll warm up to you. I mean, it seemed like a very understanding kind of response, and you were normalizing it. Other people feel nervous too when talking to new people.
Okay, yeah.
The second fear you mentioned is that you might stumble over your words and say something stupid, and the person would comment on that. How would you respond to someone who commented on saying something in their minds stupid?
Well, I would probably say that's not very nice. um, and I'm sure you said things that are stupid before. Would you like it if someone pointed it out to you?
Okay. And how would you
And
feel? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. And how do you feel about saying something like that?
I mean, it would probably feel good to say something like that to somebody who was mean.
Okay. Okay. And finally, what if a person said, I'm kind of bored talking to you. I don't find you very interesting. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
My
That
gosh,
was
that's so mean. I I would probably say, well, that's fine. Maybe there's someone else I can talk to. You don't have to talk to me. I'm not forcing you to stay.
Why don't you
I'll
say something to stand up for yourself more? What would you add?
um that I'm a really interesting person, and if you don't find me interesting, maybe that says something about you and not me. And I'm going to find somebody else to talk to who thinks I am interesting.
How did that feel?
um, Good, I guess.
Okay, very good. You seem like you're more into this now, like you're feeling a little bit more confident now than even a few minutes ago. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Okay, let's give this a try. I'm going to suggest we do some role plays. And in this role play, you are being yourself, but you're being yourself imbued, filled with self-confidence. This is the self-confident shaman.
Okay.
And we're pretending that I'm a stranger that you met at a meetup, and we're having a conversation. And we're not going to do the conversation now. We'll just get right into the fears. And I'll start by speaking the three fears that you have one at a time. And you respond with your assertions that we just discussed. And when you're asserting yourself, try to do it with that sense of confidence. Put a little oomph in it, okay?
Okay.
Is there anything wrong, Shaman? You seem kind of nervous. Is something wrong with you? It's kind of weird.
Nothing's wrong with me. I am a little nervous. We just met, and this is the first time that we're talking, and sometimes I do get nervous talking to people who are new, but there's nothing wrong with me. And maybe if we talked a little bit more, I would feel more comfortable with you.
How did that feel, Shaman?
Good.
Okay, let's try it again. Put a little more oomph into it. Say it like you really believe it, okay?
Okay.
Is there anything wrong, Shaman? You seem kind of nervous. It's kind of weird.
I am a little nervous, but it's not weird. Lots of people are nervous when they first meet somebody. And if we talked a little more, maybe I would feel less nervous and we would have a good conversation. What do you think?
Very good. How did you feel the second time?
A little bit better. Put
Okay,
it back on them.
very good. On both occasions, they were good assertions, and the second one you added even more oomph, and it feels better.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try the next sphere.
Okay.
Later in the conversation, we're imagining I say, well, that was kind of a dumb thing to say. Why would you say such a thing?
That's not a very nice thing to say. And I don't know if it was dumb. Maybe it was not the smartest thing to say, but I'm sure you've said things that aren't that smart at times too.
Okay, very good. Let's try with more oomph this time, more conviction.
Okay.
Boy, that was kind of a stupid thing to say. Why would you say such a thing?
Where are your manners? Why would you call somebody stupid? Maybe, sometimes people say things that aren't the smartest, but I'm sure you said things that are stupid sometimes. And I would never point something out to you if you said something stupid.
Very good. How did that feel?
Better.
Okay, excellent. And let's try your third fear. Boy, I've been talking with you, and it's just, honestly, I don't mean to be rude, but it's just kind of dull. I mean, you just don't strike me as having anything particularly interesting to say. So I don't really want to continue this conversation.
um, okay. I mean, you don't have to stay, and maybe somebody else will have something that you find interesting, or somebody will think that I'm interesting. So fine. Okay.
Very good, Shimon. Now let's try it again with more oomph, more conviction to what you're saying, like you really believe it. Boy, this conversation is really dull. I'm just, this is wasting my time. I don't really want to continue. I'm going to go talk to somebody else.
Wow. Okay, that's fine. I personally think that I'm a very interesting person, but not everybody's going to get along. So why don't you go find somebody else to talk to? I'll find somebody who does find me interesting, and we can go about our day and have a good time. Bye.
Very nice. You're getting into this. How did that feel?
Good.
So I think we can go even farther. Let's imagine a really bad conversation.
Oh no.
Happen to be talking to this awful person, and all these fears come true, and maybe even some additional ones that I'm aware that you have. You didn't mention today. I'll throw in those as well. And you're going to need to use not only the assertions that you prepare that we just practiced, but also think on your feet and use some other assertions. Okay. Give
Okay.
that a try.
Okay.
Okay. And remember, you're not only asserting yourself with your head held high, a sense of dignity, as opposed to being timid or defensive about it, but you want to imbue it with a sense of conviction, a sense of self-confidence, a real oomph. Okay. God, you look kind of odd. Are you sick or something? You look awfully nervous or ill. It's really weird.
Sick? No, I'm fine. And we just met, so we're getting to know each other. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable when you get to know somebody new. But I think in time we could feel more comfortable around each other and have a good conversation.
Well, I don't know about that. You just said something really stupid. I was struck by that. I was taken aback. Why would you say such a stupid thing?
Did I say something stupid? I don't remember saying something stupid, but that's a really rude thing to say to somebody. And I'm sure you've said stupid things before, but I wouldn't be so rude to point it out to you.
Well, besides, I'm not finding this conversation at all interesting. I don't know that I want to waste any more time talking to you.
All right, there's not we're not going to be friends with everybody in the world, and we're not going to get along with everybody in the world or have the same interests with everybody in the world. And I know I'm an interesting person. We might not have the same things in common, so why don't you go find somebody else to talk to if you're really that bored?
I will, because I'm concerned that people have been looking at us and thinking, why would you talk to such a strange person like that? That's going to make me look bad.
That's an interesting thought, comment. It sounds a little bit like you might have social anxiety. I know a really great therapist who I could refer you to. He might be able to help you out with that.
Look, I'm moving on. This is just too much for me. I'm going to talk with my friends about you. I just can't imagine that someone like you would have any friends.
I've got friends and I'm here to make new friends, but I don't think that I want to be friends with someone like you. You're kind of rude and you're just not a nice person. So have a good day. I wish you well, but I'm going to go talk to somebody else now.
Wow, brava, congratulations. How did you feel about this really challenging role play with all sorts of fears come true?
I mean, I felt really good. I hope that I'm able to do that in real life if that happens. I mean, this person was so mean, but I was able to stand up for myself. So that felt good.
Well, excellent. Well, I'm going to suggest a few ways that you can practice this as homework that I think will make it easier for you to use these assertions when the need arises in real life. One is that you can practice your assertions at home in a couple ways. One is kind of like an actor practices lines that they're going to say for a part in a play or movie, probably when you're alone or maybe with your pet and you're practicing using your assertions out loud. I would definitely do it out loud and with the tone of oomph that you want to use.
Okay.
And you can use different assertions that you're practicing in different ways, different tones, different wordings, depending on your fears that you want to practice with. So that's one thing that you can do. And the other is, remember when we were using the method called confident imagery, where you're imagining yourself do an experiment with confidence before you do the experiment?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Well, on your own, you can practice doing that again, but this time imagine you're still doing the experiment with confidence, but someone reacts negatively to you during the experiment. Sort of like I did during the role play, says something critical to you about appearing anxious or saying something stupid or sounding uninteresting to them. Imagine that that happens, and in your imagery, see yourself responding using your assertions with a sense of confidence.
Okay.
So you can practice these assertions at home. And I believe then when you're doing actual homework experiments in real life, that that practice will make it easier for you to use assertions when the need arises.
Okay. I think I get it, but oh, I mean, I can do it with my pets or my plants. I can do it in my mind, but like we talked about, I'm not in middle school. I'm not in junior high school anymore. People don't tend to say mean things out loud. I'm worried that they're thinking them, but I'm a little concerned about how I'm going to actually be able to practice this in real life if people aren't actually saying the mean things, but it seems to me like they're thinking them.
Okay, that's an excellent point, and I'm really glad you raised it. Well, there's a type of assertion that we haven't practiced yet. I call it proactive assertions. The assertions we've practiced so far are reactive assertions, meaning you're responding to somebody being critical of you. But as you say, most people are too nice to voice their criticism. And of course, many people don't have any criticism of you at all. And if they did, most people are too nice to voice it, certainly nicer than I was playing in that role. Uh, but you're concerned that people may be thinking this. So when you're in a situation in which you are concerned that somebody may be thinking something critical of you, you can use a softly worded proactive assertion, even though they didn't say anything critical. So
Okay.
let's say, for example, you're in a conversation with a new person, and as one of your fears is, you say something kind of stupid, like, I don't know, you ask their name a second time by mistake, or you screw up your words in some way, or get something wrong. And the person doesn't say anything negative to you. Maybe they wince a little bit in their face. Maybe they don't even do that, but they don't say anything negatively to you.
Uh-huh.
So you don't want to confront them in a mean way or in a harsh way because they weren't mean or harsh to you, But is there a soft kind of assertion that you can proactively say at that point?
Um, maybe I can just say, oh, that was silly. I already said that, didn't I? Or I sometimes get a little nervous, but I'm enjoying our conversation.
Oh, very good. How does that feel to say something like that proactively?
Oh, that feels good. I can own it now, instead of being so afraid of it. I feel a little bit more confident in just owning it.
Yeah. And what I like about your wording is it normalizes it. It's like, oh, yeah, this is just the way I can sometimes be sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. And what if you're concerned that you, I don't know, are being uninteresting or boring the person in conversation? What would
Um,
you say proactively then?
maybe I hope I'm not boring you. I'm having a really good time talking to you.
Okay, very good. So these are examples of proactive assertions that you can use. And one of the interesting things about doing assertions in that way is that it becomes its own experiment. It's a way of gathering evidence. It'll be very interesting to see, how does the person respond to you? Do they say, oh yeah, this is horribly boring, or I can't believe you said this stupid thing, which would affirm your hot thought? Or do they say something which is honestly what I predict, like, no, I'm enjoying this conversation, or I didn't notice, or I say stupid things all the time, and it sort of normalize it. And then we could talk about those experiments afterwards.
Okay. All right. I can try that.
Now, I have one more idea. Now, this may feel a little radical to you, but hear me out. You may not be lucky enough this week when you're doing experiments to be in a situation in which you have reason to believe the person might be thinking something badly of you. And I call that lucky because that would be a good opportunity to practice assertions. But you can increase your luck by doing something on purpose. So you mentioned a couple of your fears of, appearing nervous. You can appear nervous on purpose. You can make your hand shake, can't hold something and make your hand shake a bit, but do it on purpose as opposed to just a symptom of actual anxiety, or maybe it'll be both. Or you're concerned about sweating because you're hot and anxious. You could even put a little water on your face before you talk to the person when you're in the bathroom, and then come back out as though you were sweating. And
Okay.
then during the conversation, proactively use the soft assertion and see what kind of response you get. You can even say something kind of stupid on purpose, like ask their name a second time later in the conversation, and then use your assertion. I call these paradoxical experiments because paradoxically, you are trying to make your fear come true on purpose, but
Mhm.
as a way to test out whether or not it's a really bad thing or whether or not you can handle it well with your assertion. How does that feel?
Um, a little scary, but I think I could do it. I mean, I know that I'm not really like sweating. Um, and I think I can try.
Okay, I'm absolutely convinced that no matter what happens, it'll be a good learning experience.
Okay.
Great. Well, I look forward to talking about how all this goes for you next week.
All right. Thank you.